In this video, I'm going to go over 3 parts or 3 phases to at-home care for a possible meniscus irritation or tear that you've already talked to your doctor and they said, we're not going to operate when you go home, do some exercises at home or look up some exercises, etc. Of course, before performing any exercise or activities that you see within my videos, make sure you talk to your doctor first. My videos are for entertainment purposes only. So in this video, we're going to talk about the meniscus. That's this blue piece that you see in here. It's made up of a type of fibrocartilage, and it is a shock absorber within the knee joint. And so in this video, we're going to go through 3 parts or 3 phases, progressing from the easiest to the most difficult over the span of about 6 to 8 weeks. In part 1, the first exercise we're going to do is going to be heel slides. And so what you're going to do is you're going to get on the bed or couch or just wherever you have a surface that you can work this exercise. It's very difficult to get on the floor, especially if this is a meniscus that's pretty inflamed and irritated. So the bed works really nice. And so what you're going to do is you're going to work on just sliding your heel back as far as you can and then back down. And you're going to slide it back and then back down. If you need to, you can take a towel and you can put it around the bottom of the foot and help to pull your knee back into flexion. Just be careful because bending the knee, very far may become very uncomfortable. That's actually one of the tests to check to see for meniscus pathology is a deep knee bend. So just go as far as you can tolerate and then complete somewhere between 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions a few times a day. The next exercise is going to be quad set. So I have this blanket rolled up behind my knee. You can use a towel or just whatever you have at home, a small pillow. Put it behind my knee. I'm going to work on tightening up my thigh, pushing the back of my knee down here, the back of my leg here down into the towel. Okay. At the same time, I like to also pull my foot and toes back. So I like to just combine that movement. So tighten up the thigh, push this down, kind of try to flatten out this blanket or towel that you're using, and pull the foot back. Really focus on contracting the thigh. And you're going to complete 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. Our third exercise is going to be a straight leg raise. And so all that I'm going to do is we're going to say my left knee is the affected knee. And so I'm just going to work on bringing my foot up or my leg out like this, pulling my toes back at the same time, and then coming right back down. So pull up, toes back, and right back down. Initially, you may only be able to pull the heel just a little bit off of the bed or the surface you're coming off of and hold that and come back down. You might not be able to come up as high, but just really focusing on controlling the knee and controlling the leg during that movement. Now our fourth exercise is going to be high wall sits. And so you're going to get against the wall here. As far as feet placement, you're just going to put that what feels comfortable. Maybe you start with 4 or 5 inches away from the wall and then progress out. And so, shoulder width apart, or again, whatever feels comfortable with the pain that you're having in your knee. I'm going to come down, bend my knees just a little bit, and I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to hold that. Okay, I'm going to hold that maybe 5-10 seconds and then come back up, and that will be 1 repetition, and then I'm going to go back the same way, come down a little bit, 2 repetitions, and so on. So I would complete somewhere between 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. The final thing we're going to do in part 1 are hamstring stretches from a seated position. So I'm just going to kind of straighten out my leg here as straight as I can get it, as flat as I can get it. And again, initially with a meniscus, irritation, you might not be able to get that knee flat. So just do the best you can. And then I'm going to slide down with my arms and hand, reaching towards my foot on the side that's affected, really feeling that stretch in my hamstring, my calf. I feel that in the glute. I'm just going to go down and try to hold that somewhere between 15 to 30 seconds and I'll come back up. I repeat that 2 or 3 times, several times a day. Now you completed part 1 for somewhere between 7 to 14 days, it's time to move on to part 2. So what we're going to start off with is a seated leg extension here. So I have a 4-pound cuff weight there. I'm going to kick that out, try to straighten out my knee, really tighten up my thigh. I like to pull my foot and toes back up like this. You're going to feel that on that shin area there. I'm going to hold that for just a second or 2 and come back down. Then I'm going to kick out, pull that back, tighten up my thigh, hold it, and then go down. And I'd complete 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be standing hamstring curls. And so I'm holding on here to this wedge. We're going to pretend like this is the back of a chair or the back of a couch or a countertop, just a stable surface. I'm holding on here. And what I'm going to do is, with my 4-pound cuff weight on, I'm going to kick back and then I'm going to come down. Kick back. You should feel that in the hamstring muscles when you kick back. And so you're going to complete 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. Now we're going to go to chair assisted squats. And so I have this pad that I'm just put in the chair here. You can use a pillow or a cushion or something in there. Just make sure it's stable and doesn't fall out when you go to sit down, that you don't fall. And so I'm going to get my feet here, just whatever feels comfortable because of my knee pain. If you need to, put another chair in front of you to hold on to stabilize for this, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to go down, I'm going to sit on that pad, I'm going to come right back up. I'm going to go down, sit on the pad, come right back up. And I would complete somewhere between 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. Now again with this, just be careful. If you don't feel stable, if you feel like you're kind of falling into the chair, make sure you put something in front of you to hold on to, and or increase the height of the surface that you're going to. Add more cushions or whatever you need. Now we're going to complete calf raises using a chair for stability. So I'm just holding on the back of the chair. I'm going to go up on my toes, and then I'm going to come back down. Go up on my toes and come back down. And I would hold that for somewhere between maybe 1 to 3 seconds each repetition. I complete 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. Now we're going to add our stretch in for part 2. So what we're going to do here, you're going to be in a long sitting position. So I'm kind of propped up here, I've got my legs out, and I'm going to lean in and go towards bending forwards, really stretching my hamstring. And I would hold that somewhere between 15 to 30 seconds. And I complete several repetitions of that. Now you ask, why would I do that versus in the sitting position, just bending forwards? In that position, long sitting, we're going to stretch the hamstrings a little more because we're flexing the hip. And that's going to pull a little bit on the hamstring complex, and so that's just a little more aggressive stretch than that initial sitting position leaning forwards. So hopefully your program's going well, and now we're going to move on to part 3. So you've completed part 1, 7 to 14 days, part 2, 7 to 14 days, now we're into part 3. So I'm going to go back to that cuff weight around the bottom of my leg. We're going to go back into leg extensions, really tightening up my thigh, pulling my foot back and holding that. Now the way that I'm going to vary this, especially if you don't have a heavier weight at home that you can use, I'm going to work on some holds. So I'm going to maybe say 10 to 12 repetitions. So maybe every third repetition or every other repetition or even on the last repetition, I'm going to really tighten up my thigh and I'm going to try to hold that. I'm going to hold that maybe for 5-10 seconds, whatever I can do, and then bring it back down to really start to work on some endurance within the muscle. Now we're going to move on to a more advanced squat. So we're going to do what's called a goblet squat. Now you can use kettlebells, you can use dumbbells. This is a dumbbell, so it doesn't really matter what you use. And so I'm going to put my feet what feels comfortable. I'm going to kind of clasp my hands together here just to hold on to it. I'm going to hold it out in front, or initially you can start with it close to your chest. You're going to squat down and come back up. Just kind of going down as deep as I can, squat down and come back up. Then you can work on reaching farther away. You can add 2 dumbbells, hold them by your sides and squat down that way. That's fine too. I would complete 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions a couple times a day. One of my favorite stability and motor control exercises are going to be the step outs. And so I'm going to stand, we're going to say that it's my left knee is the affected knee for camera purposes, and I'm swapping back and forth between knees. I'm going to stand on one knee, and then I'm going to step out and touch my toe out to the side, all right? I'm going to kind of go all around the clock. I'll have patients just go around the clock, make it, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. And then I'll increase the difficulty with this by having them bend their knee a little bit. So my knee's bent now about 20 degrees. And now I'm going to step out. I'm going to go out and come back. And I'll go all the way around, half a clock. And I would complete somewhere between 1 to 2 sets of 5 to 10 repetitions a couple times a day. So my final stretch in part 3 is going to be using a stretch out strap. So I would start in sitting and kind of pull my leg up and pull it all the way back just like that. Got this strap around the ball of my foot. So I'm just pulling back. I'm going to hold that somewhere between maybe 15 to 30 seconds. I bring it down. I repeat that 2 or 3 times, several times a day. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that it helps with the meniscus issues you may be having. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and thanks again.